Welcome to the only cricket show officially boycotted by Nigel Henderson. It's the Guerilla Cricket Grumpy Old Men podcast.
Just once in a decade, in a lifetime maybe, the world of entertainment is disrupted and utterly elated by something entirely new.
Good Lord. And now for something completely different.
Welcome, gents. It's Grubby here in the top right-hand corner of the screen that I'm looking at. And with me, I have the Bear and Not Fred Titmus. Hello, chaps.
Good evening, peeps. So how is everybody?
It's been a while since our... what do they say in the Catholic Church? Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been about 4 weeks since our last podcast.
4 weeks?
Should we make it
2 months, isn't it?
Should we make it a confession?
Yeah.
Go on, you go first.
There's not been a lot going on in the world of cricket, although the season has started in England. There are odd bits of international cricket going on around the world. We've just finished a mini test series between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. I think we finished the second test. Is that all?
Yeah,
the tests that there
I think
are?
there's only 2 tests.
They won it 1-0.
Yes.
But not in no small part thanks to debutant Praveen Jaya-Wickrama, who returned match figures of 11 for 178.
Yeah, old-fashioned Asian test matches in which you had sort of very high scoring. It was not like in England and India a few months ago where you had the game over in about six sessions. It was, get a big score on the board, get a massive score on the board, and then put pressure on the opposition that way.
Well, that was a weird thing, wasn't it? I mean, we were only over there, 2.5 months ago, and it was all hell breaking loose. And now suddenly, Bangladesh go there. And I saw the first test, it was like 500, and then Sri Lanka were 520 for 3 or something. I was like, Christ almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karuna Ratner got a double. He got man of the series for 400 and something runs at 140 odd average or something. But a great debut by the lad Jaya Wickrama. 11 for 178 is the same match figures, best match figures by a Sri Lankan debutant, and the best innings figures of 6 for 92 by a debutant ever. I saw he was being touted as the next Harath, so I presume he's a left arm. He's a left armer. Yeah.
So what happened to Embal Denier?
Exactly. Where's Embal Denier?
Yeah, I mean, he destroyed us.
He's not even playing.
You say destroyed us, Bear. We did win too.
We did win. Yeah, we did win.
Yeah. He did very. He was sort of the sole torchbearer really for Sri Lanka in that series, isn't he?
Well, you say you in Sri Lanka and historically in Asia generally, you didn't just play one slow left armer and one off spinner. You could sort of have 2 of each, or you could have.
Well, where's he gone then?
3 or 4 spinners.
I didn't look at the scorecard, but did he not play then?
He didn't even play. No. So I'm thinking he might be injured.
Okay.
Oh, well, good. We've all done our research. If you're listening,
exactly.
Well, yeah.
And if you're Sri Lankan, do tweet us in and let us know the answer to that question.
The one thing I did investigate because it interested me with these match figures by Jaya Wickrama. 11 for 178. Apparently, the 10th best ever match figures by a debutant. And I want you two to tell me between you who are the 2 at the top of that list.
2 at the top.
Best debut test match.
One very famously in 1972.
Bob Massey.
Bob Massey, well done.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't have got that one.
Match figures of 16 for 132nd. I think he only ever played
Lords.
At Lords.
8 in each inning.
8 in both innings. Could you believe it?
That's quite.
And he only played 6 test matches. Madness, really. Anyway, imagine it was quite a cloudy, swingy old set of circumstances he got there.
It was,
but then his record was eclipsed. So he got 16 for 137, and his record was eclipsed in 1988 by a debutant bowler who took 16 for 136. Would you believe? And that debutant was
in what year?
88.
Murali?
No, I was going to say Murali.
No, not Murali. No, otherwise he'd have been top of that Sri Lankan list, wouldn't he?
Of course.
We weren't listening to you earlier.
Yeah. Why? I'll give you 5 seconds and I'll give you the answer. Because silence, even for us, silence is a bit of a gambit, isn't it? For a podcast.
Stuart McGill.
Not Stuart McGill. I like the guess though, but no. It was Hiwani, Narendra Hiwani.
Ah, okay. Yes, Hiwani. Famously one of the worst batsmen ever to hold a bat in Test cricket.
Was he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was that bad that in the Test match in 1990 at Lords, India needed 24
Oh,
to
yeah.
avoid the follow-on, and Hirwani came in, and Kapil Dev decided not to let him face the ball and hit the next 4 balls for 6.
That's
right.
right.
Very well.
He got out first ball, so they didn't have to. They didn't have to follow on. It didn't save them because having got 333 in the first innings, got 123 not out in the second innings, made the highest individual aggregate, the highest aggregate in a Test match, 456.
Yep.
So,
I'm glad someone else knows all these types of stats because I'm
one of the few stats that I know, so I do trot it out quite often.
No, it's good. Well, you've trotted it out on this very podcast before, but I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see, like an old friend.
To hear the same old things.
It's a repeat. It's a repeat.
Did I tell you my Bob Massey story? At the Centenary Test of 1980, there were all the old players there from England and Australia through history, and I was sitting in the Warner stand. And the guy next to me had a lanyard on, and I was I had a book for people to sign. I was trying to see who it was because I wanted to open the book at the right place so he could sign his entry. I'm sure I've told this story before. And anyway, it took me about an hour before I could just subtly have a look at who it was. And it was Bob Massey. I was sitting next to Bob Massey at Lords in a Test match, and I got him to sign my book, which he did very graciously.
Very good. You were quite the signature collector back in the day, weren't you, Fred?
Yeah, something we did. I was probably about 12, 13, 14 that era. We hung around outside cricket pavilions. It's a relatively healthy pursuit for boys of that age, I think.
I collected matchboxes.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a bulk bag full of them, and then eventually I just burnt them. Tossed a match in.
I think you probably collected matches because you were just constantly lighting up at that age, were you?
No, I didn't start smoking until I was 14, I think, probably. So probably around about then, yeah. I once actually nearly set the house on fire because I went out to do my paper round in the morning and found a box of matches, and I did the old
paper matches.
Well, no. And I kind of let it, when you put the match in the box and you just let the whole thing flare up, it's like, woo, yeah, and then I just left it on top of a plastic bin outside the back door, thinking it would just go out. Came back and my dad was fucking furious, and the bin was melted. Fucking
the bin was
plastic
melted
by the back door. Yeah, he was not a happy man. There you go.
When I was a student, I used to do this little party trick of lighting a Swan Vesta on my teeth.
Oh yes,
because they're not safety matches, which means effectively you can light them on anything, not just the box, theoretically. And so you dry your teeth. Give them a good old rub, and then you get the match and strike it, and everyone gives a massive round of applause because you're a hero. But of course, on more than one occasion, it went wrong, and I ended up with a bit of fried chicken for a lip.
Yeah, I can imagine. Nasty.
Well, if you belched at the same time, and you'd happen to have down
inhaled at the same time, and you could have blown your stomach up.
Or if you exhaled, you could be sort of the human flamethrower.
Dragon.
As well.
Very good.
I remember bloody Krusty actually at a fucking hippie thing with ravey thing I did, and bastard was doing his blowing flames with the what's name, and then he wanted a swig of my beer. I was like, grabbed my beer, swigged it, and it tasted of petrol. Wasted fucking beer, man. Wasn't a happy chat, man.
Where did that take place?
I don't know, some crusty festival somewhere.
A crusty festival.
It was probably only Heineken anyway, so it didn't make much difference.
Yeah, it might well have been, but at the time, it was important.
We were talking cricket stats about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But there's one that I did know in my usual trawl of Twitter for boring things. I came across this, which I don't think is boring. On this day in 2002, Pakistan beat New Zealand in Lahore by an innings and 324 runs, thanks to 2 massive performances from 2 of their poster boy players from back then. One was a big innings and one was lots for not very many.
What year was this? Sorry,
2002.
Me and Dad? Was he still?
No, it was after his time. It was after me and Dad's time.
Inzi?
Inzi, yeah.
Well, of course, Inzi.
It was Inzi's 329, yeah.
Right.
And then the Rawalpindi Express, Shoaib Akhtar, took 6 for 11.
Wow.
To help. But an innings and 324, that is some shellacking, is it not?
That
not close to the innings and 579 that England beat Australia in 1938.
Was that the
903 for 7 declared?
Yeah, the 360 odd.
Len Hutton's 364, and then it rained. Funny how that happens.
Bloody hell! Timeless test, we'd have still won, but I suppose they were over by then.
No, we did win.
We did win.
Oh, well, okay. Oh yeah, of course. You just said that. So it's late. It's Monday. I went to Blue Water today. It fries my brain.
Oh dear, you have my sympathy, sir. You have my sympathy. Fred, there was something.
Not on a bank holiday. It's probably better.
Yeah.
No, it was horrible. I had to wear a fucking mask all the way around it, and I was there for about 2 hours doing nothing. Shh. My wife can't hear me.
She will listen later on, though, won't she? And then you'll be in trouble.
Oh, of course, I'll be in trouble. Yeah.
Talking about Pakistani fast bowlers, Hampshire doing pretty well in the county championship, although they got absolutely annihilated by Surrey in the last game. They have Mohammed Abbas as one of their overseas players this year, and they've got a very good opening attack. They've got Mohammed Abbas and they've got Kyle Abbott.
Yes, you like that.
Who are quite, a very potent opening attack, it has to be said. But I did wonder whether there has ever been an opening bowling attack that are higher up on the alphabetical scale than Abbott and Abbas. I think you're going to struggle.
I think you'd struggle unless there was a couple of
Javed. Aki used to open the bowling.
He's a double A.
He starts with 2 A's.
Yeah.
But Armour Sohail used to bowl a bit of left arm spin. I don't know if he ever opened
it'll be pushing it.
Yeah, I don't think you can be there.
Mohammed Ahmed, is it Mohammed Ahmed? Is he just 1A?
Yes, Samir.
Yes. Yeah. Although there is some variation in spelling because it's
indeed,
not usually
obviously
written in Latin characters. But I just thought if they were plumbers, they'd be way down in the yellow pages, because if you ever looked at the plumbers in the yellow pages, they're all A B C and company, and the next one will have gone one more A just to outdo them.
Try and get the top. Yeah.
I don't think the yellow pages exist.
I wouldn't
get any of those plumbers on principle, because they're obviously idiots.
I watched about 10 minutes of that Surrey game because someone said, "Oh, you can watch everything on YouTube now." So I watched a little bit on YouTube, and Carl Abbott was bowling, and Hashim Amla was on about 150, and Pope was on, I think it was just over 50 at the time. I thought Carl Abbott looked quite good, but he put up a better timber, hadn't he? He's getting quite comfy it's quite comfy over here.
He had an amazing season. I think it was the last full season, which would have been 2019.
Yeah.
Picked up absolutely stacks of wickets in the county championship. And you would have thought that putting Abbas with him, certainly on early season wickets in England, is it's going to be a walk-through for Hampshire. But they got stuck after winning the first 3 games, possibly. No, they had 2 wins, then a draw, and this time they got stuffed. So.
Well, I mean, you look at that game. There's some class players on that. You got Carl Abbott, you got Mohammed Abbas, you got Hashim Amla, and then Kemar Roach got 8 wickets, and James Vince, of course.
Yeah, and Ollie Pope, and
there's some good stuff to watch.
And friend of the show, Sam Northeast.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to the ECB site, and our listeners, of course, I think you do have to register, but they've got a setup where you can click on the game. All the games are down the left-hand side of the screen. You click on it, and then the video opens in the middle of the page.
Oh,
so you can literally flick it. You can say, "Oh, look, James Vince is 17 out. He must be batting well. Go and watch him for 10 minutes. Block him, get him out, and then switch and watch somebody else."
Our friend Brian Barish keeps keeping us up to date, actually, whilst we're doing the interminable IPL coverage, which we can't remember who's playing and what the last game was. I mean, literally, we did a double header the other day, which I was really angry about because I thought I'd avoided all them because they were all at the weekend, but then there happened to be one on a Thursday. By the time we got to the second day, I literally halfway through the second day, I couldn't remember what the first game was, and it was only 2 hours earlier. I was like,
it's like those train journeys where you can't remember what you did in your life before you got on that train.
It's just insane. It's just insane. I mean, it's quite entertaining to watch at times. It's fine. But it's just pointless.
It's fast food cricket.
Yeah.
It's a Big Mac. It's a set of chicken wings from KFC.
Yeah.
Lovely and tasty, but not exactly long-term nourishment.
No. But I have to say, Bear, that you've never been a great fan of county cricket, but the fact that all the video is there and available and free, and you can just flick between one and the other, it may get you a little bit more interested. It might get the
that was the thing. I did find myself sitting there going, "Oh, this is quite watchable as well." Because for a minute, I thought they didn't have cameras from either end because they started one over from behind the keeper.
No, they do. I mean, the camera work can be a bit slow.
It varies ground to ground as well.
I remember I think it was the first game of the season when Vince and Dawson were batting together, and Vince hit about 140 between lunch and tea or something. In fact, you could just click on it and watch it. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's really good. I don't know. Do you know what the figures are kind of like for that? Because that's exactly what I wanted to do for Scotland game, wasn't it? Or various other things. A bit late to the show.
they've all been saying the figures are fantastic, but no one's actually come out with any numbers this year.
Yeah. I think it is a good thing, though. One of the good things to come out of COVID is that video coverage of county games. I think it's probably, and hopefully when people are allowed to return, they'll get bigger crowds because it'll have sparked a bit of interest. In my extensive notes here, by the way, this is addressed particularly to you, Fred, I've just written down, because I want to hear more about this, and I don't think we dwelled on it for long enough last time. The Vicar of Dibbly-Dobbly. What a splendid nickname that is.
I don't claim to have claimed it, but I do have a teammate who plays in our Sunday friendly games who bowls slow. He doesn't bowl spin. He just bowls slowly, but he does vary his pace a little bit, and he's a clever bowler and he picks up wickets. But people assume he's a spinner, but he isn't. And he was christened the Vicar of Dibbly-Dobbly, which people not in England might not know. There was a long-running television program which was moderately funny called The Vicar of Dibbly, and Dibbly-Dobbly, of course, is one of those euphemisms for shit bowling. Let's be honest.
Thank you for explaining the joke.
Well, we have people all over the world listening to us, and I'm trying to encourage our vast Indian listenership.
Pour encourager les autres.
But the Vicar of Dibbly-Dobbly is a good nickname as things go.
That's terrific.
He's also known as Rhino.
Right.
Rhino.
Because
Republican in name only.
Well, RHI. His surname is Spearman.
Spearman Rhino.
Spearman Rhino. He's got great nicknames.
This man has got two of the greatest nicknames ever invented. And cricket is good at this. And I know we've spoken about this in the show before because this is a particular favourite topic of mine. I like Alex Loudon's nickname that he got given was Minotaur because that's all he ever went on.
That's good. I like that.
And I met him once and he was a nice bloke.
Well, there you go. Well, so do you want a headline of the week? I can give you a good one.
Oh, yeah, go for headlines, yeah.
This is a good one. Huge butt plug sparks grenade scare in Germany.
Jesus Christ. Last time it was the world's biggest penis.
Well, this carries on the theme, really, doesn't it? It turns out that some woman was walking in a park and she sees what she thinks is a grenade on the floor. So she calls out, bomb squad, etc., etc., etc.
The bum squad?
The bum squad. It turns out that it is a butt plug in the shape of a grenade.
Bloody hell. 2
used condoms and a USB cable wrapped in a bag. And they checked it out. And, they looked it up online to check that it was a butt plug. And it was.
Well,
they looked it up online.
They have these little robots that go and handle suspicious objects. In case they blow up, they have like remote control things. There, you'd want to do that, not because of they might explode, but you just wouldn't want to touch it, would you? Let's be honest.
Well, no. Exactly.
You just get a couple of robots going in there, and then turning around and giggling and going, "You'll never guess what it is."
Exactly.
Oh dear.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. And it's not a topic with which I'm overly familiar, I must confess. But the size of a grenade.
Well, exactly.
Jesus wept. Jesus.
And it had been used clearly. Oh, I mean, Jesus. Oh, doesn't bear thinking about.
No, you're the one who brought it up there.
Well, I did because I looked around for funny headlines, and it happened to be a good one. Yeah.
That's your thing. Should we segue straight into the other segment?
Yeah, why not?
We got more segments. I've forgotten about segments. Yeah, okay. Let's have another segment.
It's the boring cricket tweet of the week.
So this week on Boring Cricket Tweet of the Week, I am going to give you as a first offering this from Lim OPCC. Lim, I believe, is a village near Warrington in the north of England. And it just says, needless to say, cricket is cancelled this evening. Sad face. Hashtag bank holiday. And then a little umbrella with rain. And then a GIF with an umbrella with rain, as if they haven't already made the point. Right, so that's the first one.
Overemphasis, I think. Overemphasis.
Yeah. The next one, not necessarily boring cricket tweet of the week, but sort of unambitious cricket tweet of the week.
Ooh.
Right, yeah, and you'll see what I mean. So this is from the Cricket Podcast, and they say, "Afternoon, everyone. obviously, as there is no IPL today, we're not going to be doing a post-match podcast. Should be back at it tomorrow, though. Now, when has it ever stopped any podcasters worth their salt? Any cricket podcasters worth their salt, whether there's cricket on or not?
Well, exactly. There's a whole podcast to do on why the IPL wasn't on today, surely.
Well, I take offence that they're calling themselves the cricket podcast, as if there's only one of them.
You know, I think
how very dare they?
Many. I believe that there are not enough cricket podcasts against the received wisdom of some in the media who think there are too many. There are not enough. Everybody should have their own podcast.
Well, I do believe the cricket podcast is our very own Jack Hope, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I'm calling him out.
With him.
You can call him out.
A
cricket
podcast. We should launch a campaign to force them to change their name to a cricket podcast because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Good. Carried. That's if nothing else, this meeting has achieved something. Right. Okay. We'll move on. Cricket mentor. I mean, anyone who calls himself cricket mentor anyway deserves a slap in my book. So cricket mentor has retweeted something. It's a picture of AB de Villiers playing a shot, and it says, "It's simple. You can't think and hit at the same time."
Well, he can't.
That's why one practices, spelt with a C as well, to learn to trust. And then, so Cricket Mentor has retweeted this bit of nonsense and just says, quieten the mind and just do it.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
That gets my vote for puke inducing.
That's not boring. That's just offensive.
Horrible. Well, I'll give you a couple of other contenders, and then we can have a quick vote. Cricket breaking news, very wrongly titled in my book. Cricket breaking news tweeted this: just posted a photo at Pallekele International Cricket Stadium, and then an Instagram link. I mean that is for dullness. It's right up there. And then the last one I'll give you is quite a lengthy one, so bear with. But it's from Cricket Craptin, which is at least
at least it's a good name. Yeah.
Cricket Craptin says the latest episode of hashtag line and length duty left some deflated. Amateur Cricket 11 was inevitably going to find that organised games of cricket are corrupted by dropped catches. Mother of Heath Streak. Today's tweet brought to you by the word contrived, the letter H, and Angus Donaldson.
I don't know if that's boring. That's quite good.
It's
not too bad.
Yeah, it's not boring.
Okay, well,
couldn't you find any Welsh cricket tweets which were extremely boring?
I did.
We do have a thing about the Welsh, don't we?
I did. I actually found one, but I couldn't pronounce the name of the village that it came from, so I thought I better not. It started with a Y. That's all I'm going to remember, and it was about some really dull ongoing conversation they've been having with Swansea Council. So it was right up our street.
Oh, it wasn't about bins. If it was about bins emptying, that would be the absolute classic, wouldn't it?
Should we have a quick vote then? So it was Lim Cricket Club. Needless to say, cricket is cancelled with lots of gifs and emojis with rain. The cricket podcast were being unambitious and saying there's no IPL today, so we're not doing a podcast. Cricket Mentor going quiet in the mind and just do it. Would it further the case if I said that just do it was all in caps as well?
Oh.
Did it have a Nike swoosh?
No. That would be too witty for the cricket mentor,
because it'll only encourage them.
And cricket breaking news with the just posted a photo of Pallekele International Cricket Stadium. Couldn't give a toss.
Good.
Yeah. And then the cricket Craptin with the whole line and length duty contrivement.
I think I'm going for the Pallekele for the.
I think Pallekele wins it.
Cricket breaking news. Just going to make a note. Our second piece of action from this meeting. One is to get the cricket
we're
podcast.
Duty bound to retweet it. There's an occasional feature that we have, which is me telling odd stories from my life in playing friendly cricket. And once I've just been reminded one. I hope I haven't told this before. When we mentioned Welsh cricket, I had we started a club, a group of friends when we were all about sort of in the early 20s. In our early 20s, not the early 20s. That would have been quite a while ago, or either very recently or 100 years ago. But we were just a group of mates who we used to rent council pitches. We used to play mostly friendlies. We played, we entered a couple too. We decided once to go somewhere for a game. Well, not a tour. We were just going to head off for. We organised a game in Cardiff. We were all coming from London, and we rented a minibus that we picked up on the Sunday morning. We were going to leave like 9 o'clock in the morning. 12-seater minibus. Anyway, we go and pick it up, and it wasn't really big enough for 11 people and 11 cricket bags. So one of our team said, "Oh, I'm going to drive down in my fancy convertible car, and I'm going to take somebody else with me." And we said, "Fine, okay. Can we put the big team kit bag on your what passes for a back seat in one of those little convertibles, which couldn't hold any people but could hold her?" Yeah. Anyway, so they headed off, and we headed off down to Cardiff, and they got there before us, unsurprisingly. And he's looking a bit sheepish. I have to say, he's looking a bit sheepish.
Oh no!
And he's trying to not catching my eye, and he's looking in the other direction. And what's happened? Well, he decided driving down the M4, the passenger, this is not the driver, that he was gonna roll a spliff in his open-topped convertible.
Which is a very wise. Well, it's not wise to roll it with the open top open, but yeah, it's a good sentiment.
And he decided he couldn't do it on his knees. I'm not an expert on this matter, but he needed something sort of flat to work with, some sort of tabletop that he could
absolutely
balance on his knees.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he leaned into the back seat and lifted out of the team kit bag the scorebook.
Oops.
And 3/4 of a second later, it was all over the M4, the club scorebook. Pieces of it in other cars, on people's windscreen wipers, definitely trying to get rid of the pieces of paper that were flying at them, from our game versus Newlands Cricket Club in 1989. Anyway, he managed to destroy the club scorebook by trying to roll a spliff in a convertible on the M4. And
well, it was a worthy cause, Fred. It was a worthy cause.
30 years later, and occasionally I see this bloke, and he will still not catch my eye, and he will sort of mumble, make excuses, and head out of, into a corner somewhere.
That is some good guilt he's got going on there. What about the kit? What about the kit though? Did the kit make it?
Fortunately, most of the kit was sort of strapped in. This was like stuck in the top of the scorebook.
And what was it? One of those scorebooks that's got like unattached leaves kind of shoved in and all that. Yeah, right.
Bound.
So if the wind gets it, it's all over, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
should have used a pad. You could have got a pad. It's a nice little oval shape, in fact, on the inside.
All those annals of history just gone in a moment.
Well, I have to say, I did contact all the other teams that we played and got copies of their scorebook and did fill them out into a copy of scorebook, but not complete, because you never get all the bowling figures and all the characters.
I wouldn't have been asked to do that. Else.
But I mean, that's just shocking.
How long did that take you, Fred?
If you're listening, I haven't forgiven you, mate. All right.
You're still not allowed to catch his eye, and you've still got to carry that guilt with you to the grave.
Anyway, we won in Cardiff, and then we ran out of petrol on the way home. But that's another story.
Did everyone get pissed in the back of the van?
Well, we had a good time, actually. It was great. It was good fun. Happy days. We were young and free, and running out of petrol on the M4.
I mean, your tale of driving to Wales reminds me of something. It's not cricket related, but it was an incident that just left me with a perpetual feeling that bad things happen in Wales. So a few of us lads, we were going on a little golf tour to West Wales, and I was driving my Volkswagen Golf with a couple of mates in, and we had all our clubs and other kit in the boot and everywhere else. Anyway, we'd just gone over the Severn Bridge when this kind of like a dark blue Volvo behind us, which had a blue light on top, pulled us over, which was weird. And this guy, a lone policeman, got out. He said, "All right there, lads, my name's Wynne. I'm from the Carmarthen station just over there." And it's like, okay. And he kept using this really weird sort of syntax. He kept saying what he was going to do by way of saying what he was doing. So he would say, for example, "I'm now going to ask you a question. And that question's going to be, is there anything in the car that shouldn't be in the car?" And I was going, "No." He said, "All right, lads, I'm now going to ask you to step out of the vehicle." And we were, "What is going on here, Wynne? What is going on?" And we're standing by the side of the road, and I turfed out my pockets when he told me to. I had some unopened condoms in there. Just my luck. And yeah. Did they have a sell by? Did they have a used by date? And and anyway, this went on for a few minutes before he said, right, on your way and everything. And as we drove away, my mate in the front, cool as you like, just said to me, good job he didn't look in the boot. And I said, what? He said, and basically what had happened, we were cooking a roast dinner at some point over the weekend, and my mate had brought like big polythene bags full of flour, gravy, powder, all this, and knives, and knives. And I was, Jesus Christ. Anyway, a couple of hours later, two of my mates almost had a fist fight over a game of Monopoly. So bad shit happens in Wales.
I don't think
I got a speeding ticket coming out of Wales from the World Cup. I fucking hate that place.
There you go.
Well, that was coming out.
Did you
not going into Wales?
Well, it was coming out of Cardiff.
You were rushing to get away.
Well, we had a good time in Cardiff, though. Yeah,
it was all right. We went backwards and forwards. I got 4 speeding tickets in the space of bloody 2 weeks. Fucking World Cup.
Did the ICC not pay them for you?
Don't
No.
start that.
They still owe me 800 quid. Ajay Sethi, if you're fucking listening.
Oh, no, I'm cutting this bit out. Yeah, that was. I thought, yeah, it'll be all right. We're about to know who these players are. We'll have a TV screen. We didn't have a TV screen. You couldn't read the scoreboard from where we were, and we had to commentate on the game between Afghanistan and Sri Lanka.
It was, and we couldn't
knowing any of the players or what they did, or who was batting or who was bowling. It was,
and it was really dark. And Barry, if you're listening, yeah. So after all the horrific shit that happened during the day about setting up, because we got there late, obviously we couldn't get in. Fred got in late. We get in there late, exactly that, didn't have any screens. We had to do the first innings off my bloody phone before I had to go off and get a 4G router. I mean, this is the World Cup, for fuck's sake. I mean, it was sub GC basically. And on the way back from all this really stressful morning, I decided to skin up a bifter in the car on the way back to the stadium. So I get back to the stadium, and then Barry asked me to go on commentary, and I'm a bit fried. that was my last. I had a go at the beginning of another game, but
he wouldn't let you on after that.
No, he wouldn't. Why. No.
Was it you were describing an over that happened 3 overs ago?
No, I just couldn't be bothered. I was just fucking mentally exhausted. I'd been running around trying to fucking get his World Cup coverage online. And that's
breaking news, by the way. Mark Selby's just won his 4th world title. Snooker. There you go.
Well done him. And a tip for aspiring commentators: if you happen to be commentating on Afghanistan, and you haven't got any information about who's batting or bowling, just call them all Zadran. I think that's what we went with, and chances are we would have been okay, just because there was about 4 of them playing. So just call them Zadran.
Yeah, Barry kept calling me and you sort of ex-county pros as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was not the most professional outfit at the start, but we got better. Finishing at Lords. I can't remember what happened in that game.
Can't believe they still owe you cash, Bear. That is disgraceful.
I know.
Well,
he threatened to sue me. Do you know what? He threatened to sue me because
I threatened you again. So I would suggest we edit out all the live bits.
I doubt it. And if he does, I'm not sure I want to. Unless he pays me up front anyway.
Oh dear. So if anyone else has got any great stories about cricket in Wales, please do let us know. Because it might seem like we're a little bit down on Welsh cricket, but no, I think on the whole,
not at all.
It's good that they're there. We need somebody to pile on, and Glamorgan is as good as anybody else.
I quite like Greg Thomas back in the day.
Oh, Greg Thomas is great, yeah.
Not least because Simon Jones is all right, yeah, feisty Jonesy. Greg Thomas's first name was actually John, which is why I use his middle name.
If you look at the list of England Test players, you'll find Glamorgan opening batsman Alan Jones quite high in the numbers for Test players, because when the England versus South Africa Test series of 1970 was cancelled because of they were uninvited because of apartheid and protests, England played a series against the rest of the world. They played, I think, 4 or 5 Test matches against a pretty damn good team, if you look back at it, who was representing the rest of the world.
Sobers captain.
And they were marked as Test matches at the time, and they were very high standard. But then some years later, the ICC said, actually, no, they weren't Test matches.
Yeah.
And so Alan Jones, the Glamorgan opening batsman who won 1 cap, which was 1 game against the rest of the world, had it taken away from him. But then, about 20 years later, he had it given back. But they couldn't move everybody's numbers up from 1970 and then say, no, actually, you thought you were 612, but you're now 613. So what they did was they gave him a number in the high 600s. So he, like about
weird
40 odd, or maybe nearly 50 years after he played, he's got a number for a Test cap.
Oh, that's funny.
It's one of the odd
And what
anomalies.
can you remember what he scored in that game, or
I didn't
approximately?
score very many, but let's see if I can find.
Oh, when you say numbers, you meant
I thought you meant
no,
good average.
I meant the number that they put on the side of their cap.
His squad not his squad number.
You. Was he a left-hander, Alan Jones?
Good question.
All good questions.
If only we had people listening to us live.
And we could get them to do stuff.
I'm going to look it up myself.
And Robert Croft, of course, if we were talking about Welsh cricketers, loved Crofty, and I love the way he said when he played for Glamorgan, it was like he was playing for Wales, and when he played for England, it was like he was playing for the British Lions. Sorry, the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah.
Through the course of this podcast series, we are one by one insulting all of our neighbouring countries, aren't we? But there we are.
We don't mean to.
Northern Ireland, you'll be next. So.
Just Josh. No, is that going to be the title? Northern Ireland, you'll be next.
You're next. Oi.
You want to be careful of that. We'll have the unionists over on us.
Well, we'll annoy one side or the other.
Yeah, true.
Or we could just piss everybody off. There is a Jewish community in Belfast, and oddly enough, they keep their heads down. Nobody's that bothered about them, to be honest. They've got other things to worry about.
Yeah, just sit quietly in the corner. Yeah. Beggar fish to fry.
Yeah. I've been to Belfast. I went.
It's lovely, apparently.
Just for a day. I went left here at London 6 o'clock in the morning, came back 10 o'clock at night, and had a great time. There's quite a lot to see, but you could do it all in a day, and it was.
I went shortly just after. Well, it was before the Good Friday Agreement was signed, but I think after the troubles had kind of been put to bed.
Mid-90s, then we're talking.
Mid-90s, about 95. No, it was before that because it was after I'd just finished university. It's about 94.
Yeah,
and I had a bunch of Catholic mates at university. And it was a weird city. And one of the guys, his dad owned one of the biggest pubs in Belfast, and I stayed with him. And we went to that was good. That was good. And we went out to Galway and took acid. That was always good. That was also good.
I had a similar trip when I went to Galway. I came back engaged. I'm not going there again.
That was drunken stupor.
No, it was slightly planned. We've got some mates actually who've been living in the States the last few years, but he is from Belfast, and they are indeed moving back to Belfast quite soon. So hopefully use that as an excuse to go and visit, because I've never been. Yeah, no, it's a good place. It's a good place.
I was lucky in that the weather was absolutely fantastic the day I was there. So I kept texting a friend of the show, Roger McCann, his input into his hometown. It's probably 2 or 3 days worth of good stuff to see.
Yeah. Why has Rog been downgraded to friend of the show?
Well, we haven't seen or heard of him for about 2 years.
I mean, this is it. I was just about to say, has anyone actually heard from him?
Well, every so often I send him a message, and occasionally I notice that the message is read. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
But Rog, he's a man who
he moves to his own tune.
Yeah, he moves in mysterious ways.
He does. But if you are listening, Rog, be good to see you, and it'd be good to meet up with everybody again, because it's been like 18 months since we've seen anyone. I mean, sit in the pub, sit in the Woodman in Sydenham, and just sit talking bollocks for many hours, which we usually do after a test match day. But we've been missing those. But
you'll be frightened to know, Grubby, that I've hardly drunk since January.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned something similar a few weeks back, and I tried to sort of skate over it, but it sounds like it's becoming a problem for you, this not drinking.
No, I went and had poker and got absolutely slammed the other week, but I just kind of decided
not drinking. That's a new thing.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem, not drinking.
I found Alan Jones's test match. Quick info tells me it was in London, which is not very helpful. But he got 5 in the first innings, caught Farouk engineer, bowled Mike Proctor, and he got a duck in. That was in the first innings. In the second innings, he got a duck. He was bowled Proctor again. So not a great,
not an auspicious
performance. And England did lose by an innings. The rest of the world team was.
Yeah, can you read it out? I was going to ask you.
Barry Richards,
brilliant.
Eddie Barlow, Rohan Kanhai, Graham Pollock, Clive Lloyd, friend of us all,
Superb.
Gary Sobers,
of course,
Farouk Engineer, Intikab Alarm, Mike Proctor, Graham McKenzie, and Lance Gibbs. That was a decent.
Do you know that Graham? And the only reason I know this little morsel that I'm going to feed to you now is because I wrote a quiz especially for my dad the other week, and this quiz was all about stuff that happened in the 1960s. Anyway, so that's why I know this. But Graham Mackenzie was the top Test wicket taker in the 60s.
Was he? Yeah, he was a good bowler. He's not very well remembered. I think the reason there weren't many or any Australian, I think he did play some county cricket, but it was put together at relatively short notice. In those days, there weren't a lot of Australians playing in England because it took a long time to get there, and they just didn't. So it was whoever was around. Obviously, the South Africans were in England. There were a few South Africans playing.
Hell of a side, though.
Yeah, Sobers hit 183 in that game, and
what a genius! Was he skipper? Sobers
was the skipper, yes.
Yeah, because Lloyd.
No. The thing about looking at old scorecards is you look at teams and you go, God, that was a team. Amazing team. Because you think of everybody at their peak. But often when you look at old scorecards, you don't realise that some people were way past their prime and other people were just sort of playing their first games. So, but you imagine them as what you know they were, what they were
exactly,
or what they were.
Yeah, it was because so to hear Clive Lloyd's name in 1970, he'd have been, I suppose he'd been playing international cricket maybe for a year or two at that point. So he was still pretty young, wasn't he?
Yes, this was 1970, so
maybe 66 or 7. He made his debut. 67, 8, maybe. Don't know.
He was born in 36. He's nearly 85. Oh no, that's Gary Sobers.
No.
I was going to say,
that's Gary's.
Clive's not that old.
Clive is.
He'd have had a heart attack in the back of my car if he'd been that old.
I think he did.
He did have a heart attack in the back of your car, from what I heard.
He's 76 at the moment.
So he was 25 then.
He was 26. Yeah, or he was 25, 20. He was 26 during that.
Oh, so, yeah, not
a young
spring chicken.
No.
Yeah.
In peak of his form, I would have thought. Of course, the few years later, they won the first World Cup. Clive Lloyd hit a century in the final at Lord's in 1975.
Clive Hubert Lloyd. I was just going to check when he made his debut. It was 66. Yeah, end of 66.
Yeah.
Made his debut. And then played until 1985, 19-year Test career.
At 66, the West Indies were in England, and they had Wes Hall and Charlie Griffiths bowling pretty damn fast.
Well, it was after that he made his debut. He made it at the back end of the year. They must have toured India, I think.
Right. That's when Colin Cowdrey broke his arm and then came out at number 11 to save a game at the non-strikers end. It sounds better than it does when you come out batting with a broken arm, but he was at the, I think, at the non-strikers end.
Against Hall and Griffith.
Yeah.
Take some gumption to do that, I'd have thought.
Reminds me of Malcolm Marshall coming out in the 80s and actually with a broken arm.
Yeah, but he
scoring about 40. I think it was a late 40. I'm not sure.
And then taking 7 for 42.
Yeah,
when he bowled
with a cast on his arm. Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't his bowling arm. He probably would have done it with his bowling arm as well.
Yeah.
He was very talented. Unfortunately, no longer with us.
Yeah,
indeed. Mako.
I'm going to give you a story. I'm going to ask you a question. It's nothing to do with cricket. And I'm going to see if you can guess what's behind this. In 1849, at a theatre in Manhattan, in New York, there was a riot, which left around 30 people killed and more than 120 people injured. I would like you to guess what sparked the riot.
1849?
Yes.
I'm going to guess the gold rush. Something to do with...
That was the year, the 49ers, yes.
Yeah.
But, no, you're wrong.
People going, we got to go west. Go west.
Go west.
So that's the best I've got. That's the best I've got for that.
That's a good historical reference, and congratulations for getting,
But you're wrong, yes.
But Bear, have you got a guess what might have been the riot?
Someone got killed. I haven't got a clue. No, I'm not a historian, man.
It was an argument. It was a long-running argument between a guy called Edwin Forrest and William Charles Macready, who had a bit of a feud. And they were both Shakespearean actors. One was English and one was American. And the fight between them became such a cause célèbre that there was a riot at the theatre and 30 people got killed.
Jesus Christ.
How did they get killed? Did everyone have guns? I presume so. It's America. Kind of Wild West.
And eventually, if you've seen Gangs of New York, which was set in a similar town, all the ruffians decided to come along and hiss the Englishmen and stand up for their American, and it turned into the police stormed in, and before you knew it, 30 people were killed. What a bizarre story.
That is quite
Over
weird.
who was the better Shakespearean actor?
Of course, the Englishman was. He was an Englishman.
Well, you'd have thought so. But if we've got any American listeners, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
Weird. But, you know, the days before TV, there was nothing to do. So they just, let's get down the theatre and have a
Let's
little riot.
go for a bit of aggro.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, earlier things that had happened were obviously throwing tomatoes and eggs and things at various people on stage. And at one performance, somebody threw a half a carcass of a dead sheep at the English actor on stage.
Imagine getting home after that as one of the cast members.
They couldn't continue because the crowd were making too much noise. So they finished the play in mime. Different world.
I mean,
very different world.
There's so many things going through my head. The Alan Partridge episode where he's under a cow is one.
Well, you don't diss the Norfolk farmers because that's going to happen.
And the other thing that's going through my head is imagine being one of the cast and getting home after that performance. How'd you get on tonight, love? Not great. We got sheeped off.
Yeah. But here's a sheep. You can put it in a stew.
Yeah. I've got a leg. So.
We will not go hungry for a month.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I just thought that might be of interest to you because it certainly was.
I like it. Yeah, I liked it.
Weird. It was basically a time of, you know, natives versus immigrants, and you know, it was bound up. If you haven't seen Gangs of New York, it's quite an interesting story. It's not a great film.
I quite enjoyed it. Though.
I think it's good. I think it's quite a good film. Yeah.
He's a great actor,
Daniel Day-Lewis,
and he's particularly larger than life in that film.
It's one of the few things he's acted in that he's not won an Oscar for.
Well,
Seems to win it every year.
I mean, well, the film was a mess because it was like most of those films, it was about an hour too long. But
that's Scorsese for you.
Yeah. The Irishman. Did you see The Irishman?
I've not seen it yet.
No, that was bad. I didn't like The Irishman.
I mean, you know, it's got touches of brilliance in it, but it was an hour too long.
It was way too long, and of course, you know, Robert De Niro's trying to pound someone's head into a curbstone, and he's clearly 80, and you could, even though they've CGI'd him, he's kind of it's like, no, that's just a little bit wrong. I saw Let There Be Blood? Is that the one about the oil thing? Will There Be Blood? There will be blood.
There will be.
Saw that again the other day on Sky. That's a cracking film.
Yeah, I've not seen that either.
First
that's a good film.
There's no dialogue at all. It's just him digging. What's he doing?
Yeah,
digging amazing. Isn't it, by himself?
Amazing.
Right. And he's a method actor, isn't he? And that's how he gets all his.
And he did win an Oscar for that, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
And for Lincoln, and for my Left Foot, was it the other one?
Yeah. Well,
he's won it 3 times. I think he's the only man to win the best
but
actor.
Has he ever been to Wales? This is the question. Because bad things would have happened to him had he gone. Let's be honest.
There will be blood.
Yeah.
There will be sheep. I'll tell you that much.
And lots of them.
It all links. It all comes back to Wales.
Oh, on that happy note. Right, chaps. It's been a blast as ever. Shall we wrap this up?
I guess so.
Lovely way to end the weekend.
Okay, so long. Until next time, whenever that may be. It's ta-ra from me, not for Titmus.
It's ta-ra from me, the bear. I'll see you tomorrow on the IPL.
Cheerio from me, Grubby. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, so that was the innings of Brendan McCullum. Scores lots of fours because he don't like to run them. And here we are waving Brendan McCullum goodbye. Whoa, whoa.